there's a cave hidden in the frozen wilderness of northern Norway. A silent, ancient wound in the earth, buried beneath layers of ice, stone, and time. To most people, it's just a geographical oddity, but to cave divers, it's a siren's call. They know it as Plura Cave, a submerged labyrinth stretching over 2 kilometers through pitch-black rock and freezing water. It's stunning, mesmerizing, and utterly unforgiving. In February of 2014, 5 experienced Finnish divers arrived in the snow-covered Plurdalen Valley with one goal: to conquer the infamous cave system by entering through its gaping mouth, descending into the darkness, and resurfacing through the second known exit, which was an opening in a mountain lake over 2 kilometers away. Only one group had ever managed this feat before, and barely. But these men, Jari Huhtanen, Patrick Gronfest, Kai Kenkinen, Vesa Ratinen, and Juho Norblad. These men were not amateurs. They were among the best in Finland. Trained, tactical, bonded through years of technical dives in the most dangerous caves in Europe, they spent months preparing, charting the course, rechecking gear, planning every moment, every signal, every second. In cave diving, over-preparation isn't cautious, it's essential, because one misstep doesn't mean injury, it means death. The water that day hovered just above freezing. The caves were silent, airless tombs filled with narrow shafts, jagged rock formations, and floor sediment that could turn a clear corridor into a blinding fog with a single, careless kick. They entered in single file, each man carrying over 100 kilograms of gear: rebreathers, lights, navigation equipment, and extra air tanks clipped to their sides like metal wings. The moment they submerged, they passed into another world, a black, weightless realm where time bends, senses dull, and fear breathes down your neck in silence. At first, the dive went perfectly. They navigated the treacherous beginning passes, each diver inching through cracks so narrow they had to remove their tanks and push them ahead. There's no turning around in Plura, not when you're wedged in a stone funnel with a solid ceiling above and a solid floor below, and only your own calm to keep the panic at bay. Still, they pushed on, heartbeats slow, breath measured, light beams carving tunnels through the pitch. Then something happened. An accidental fin kick, a shift in the current. No one can say for sure, but the silt exploded. It blanketed everything like underwater smoke, erasing vision in seconds. The wall disappeared, so did the path forward, and the path back. Even their powerful LED torches couldn't cut through the swirling debris. The divers were cast into blindness, into the black belly of the earth. In that moment, coordination collapsed, signals failed, orientation vanished. Some tried to push forward, and others turned back. But the cave, like a living thing, shifted around them. 2 divers, Jari Huhtanen and Patrick Gronfest, got separated from the others. No one saw exactly what happened next, just muffled panic in the comms. A glimpse of a fin vanishing into the dark, and then it was silence. Gone. The remaining 3 divers now faced an impossible choice. Go deeper into the blind unknown, chasing shadows and praying their friends hadn't perished, or turn back and try to survive. They chose life. The journey back was agonizing. Air supplies were low, nerves frayed. The cave was no longer a route, it was a maze now. A trap. They crawled through narrow squeezes with trembling hands, navigated blind turns through memory alone. Each kick of their fins stirred more silt, turning the water into ink. After hours, they emerged into the frozen daylight at the Plura entrance, alive but shattered. The horror wasn't over. They reported the incident immediately. Norwegian rescue divers assessed the situation and issued a grim conclusion. Recovery was impossible. The risk was just too great. The cave would have to be sealed. the bodies of Yari and Patrick would remain below. But the survivors couldn't accept that. They had made a promise. Weeks later, against export warnings, they returned. Not as thrill seekers, but as brothers in grief. They dove again into the black void, knowing exactly what lay ahead. This time there was no confusion. They moved like phantoms through the silted corridors. They traced their path back to the place where the light had failed, where the team had vanished. And there, suspended in the cold stillness, they found them. Yari and Patrick, floating like memories, faces calm, and eyes closed. The cave had claimed them, but hadn't consumed them. With reverence, they brought them back. Their story would be told in the harrowing Finnish documentary, Diving into the Unknown. But even that couldn't capture the full depth of what had happened beneath the ice. The choking fear, the isolation, the silent decision no one should ever have to make. To leave your friends behind so you can survive. Cave diving isn't just a sport, it's a psychological crucible. You're buried alive with only the thinnest line between control and chaos. A cracked mask, a fogged lens, a missed signal, that's all it takes. And in a place like Plura, it takes even less. Today, Plura Cave is still there, still yawning beneath the frozen wilderness, still hungry. Divers still return, drawn by the beauty, the challenge, or maybe the ghosts. Because something waits in the black. The cave remembers, the silt holds echoes, and if you stay too long, you may start to feel them. The pressure of eyes in the dark, the thrum of a second heartbeat not your own. And maybe, just maybe, you'll hear it. The quiet scream of two men who never left. There are places on Earth where darkness is more than the absence of light. It's a living force. Cold, heavy, and merciless. A suffocating presence that traps your breath and blurs the line between reality and nightmare. The Lehman Caves, nestled deep within Nevada's Great Basin National Park, is one such place. A magnificent underground labyrinth filled with ancient stalactites and stalagmites. Shimmering mineral formations sculpted over tens of thousands of years. Beautiful, but deadly. On August 17, 2012, a group of 4 friends from Reno, Nevada, James Peterson, Lisa Morales, Eric Caldwell, and Mark Thompson, decided to explore some of Lehman's caves, less traveled, unmarked passages. Amateur cavers with varying experience, they were drawn by the thrill of discovery and the cave's eerie allure. Armed with flashlights, cameras, and backpacks with supplies, they entered the cave just after noon. Their plan was to explore for a few hours and return before sunset. But Lehman Cave had other plans. The initial part of their expedition went well. The cool air carried the scent of damp stone, water dripping steadily from overhead. Their flashlights illuminated walls that glittered like frozen waterfalls. James photographed delicate helictites, Lisa filmed the narrow tunnels, while Eric and Mark mapped their route on a worn cave chart. But as they ventured deeper, the air grew colder, thinner. The tunnels narrowed, the walls seemed to close in. After about an hour, while crossing a fragile floor covered in fine calcite dust, Eric accidentally kicked the sediment. A sudden explosion of white powder erupted, involving the group in a blinding cloud. Panic seized them instantly. Visibility dropped to nearly zero. Their flashlight beams barely pierced the swirling dust. Breathing became shallow and labored as dust clogged their masks and lungs. Voices echoed in terrifying confusion. "Which way? Left or right?" Lisa shouted. I can't see anything," James gasped. Stay together," Mark ordered, but even he was struggling to keep calm. The dusk was thick and unforgiving. Every moment stirred it more. Past they had memorized vanished in the fog. The cave's natural silence was replaced by frantic breathing and muffled cries. Phones and cameras kept rolling, capturing disorientating footage, blurred shadows, frantic hands reaching out, and desperate faces lit only by flickering headlamps. As panic grew, their sense of direction shattered. They wandered deeper into the maze of tunnels, each one seeming identical, each corner more confusing than the last. Hours passed, or was it minutes? Time lost meaning. Their air supplies began to dwindle. Cold seeped into their clothes, chilling their skin beneath layers of sweat and dust. Exhaustion set in, mingled with terror. Outside park rangers were alerted after the group failed to return. A rescue operation mobilized quickly, involving local search and rescue teams experienced in cave recovery. The rescuers knew the stakes. Cave rescues are complex. The narrow, slippery passages, the unstable environment, the limited light, and the fragile balance of air and water. Descending into Lehman's depths, rescuers brought advanced lighting and breathing apparatuses, carefully navigating slippery rocks and fragile formations. Footage captured by rescuers shows tight tunnels slick with water, ceilings dripping steadily. Their flashlights cast eerie shadows on jagged rock walls. After several hours of searching, faint voices answered. The group was found huddled together in a narrow chamber, exhausted and scared, but alive. They were quickly assessed for hypothermia and dehydration, then safely escorted out. Each step a battle against fatigue and fear. The aftermath was sobering. All four described the terrifying feeling of being swallowed by the white dust cloud. James later recounted in an interview, "It was like the cave itself had reached out and grabbed us. One moment we were exploring, the next we were lost in an endless white void, with nothing to hold on to but each other." Rescue teams warned others, Lehman Cave isn't just a natural wonder, it's a trap for the unwary. Since then, Lehman Caves has remained a place where caution is mandatory, where every step could mean the difference between life and death. Visitors are reminded to never disturb the fragile sediments, to keep to marked paths, and to respect the ancient silence beneath the earth. Because in Lehman Cave, the beauty of crystal walls and ancient formations hides a deadly truth, and the dust is still there, waiting, patient, ready to swallow the next careless explorer into the silence forever. There are places on Earth where the boundary between wonder and terror is razor thin, where natural beauty hides a lethal, silent threat. Grotte Di Castelcivita is one of these places. Nestled deep within the rugged limestone hills of southern Italy, the cave system stretches for kilometers, a sprawling labyrinth carved by water over thousands of years. It's a realm of glittering stalactites, vast underground lakes, and shadowed tunnels winding far beneath the surface. A place that has beckoned explorers for centuries, offering secrets and mysteries wrapped in cold, wet stone. But in October of 2011, it revealed its darker face. A face that would haunt those who survived and claim the lives of those who dared to challenge it. The day began like any other for the team of 6 experienced cavers. Led by Stefano Russo, an expert spelunker with years of experience mapping Italian caves, the group was ready for a mission of discovery. Alongside him were Marco De Luca, Antonio Ferreira, Gianni Bianchi, Luca Santoro, and Paul Irisi, each with a reputation for skill and courage underground. Their goal, to explore the lesser-known sections of Castelcivita document new formations, and push the boundaries of map territory. With cameras, headlamps, climbing gear, and food packed carefully, they descended into the cave early morning. The air inside was cool and damp, a mixture of earthy minerals and ancient water. Their headlamps pierced the darkness, revealing walls that sparkled like crystal water, gently flowing over smooth stones. The atmosphere was almost reverent, silent except for the sound of dripping water and their own footsteps. As they moved deeper, the cave narrowed, passages twisted unpredictably. The temperature dropped and moisture clung to their clothes and skin. But their spirits were high, fueled by the thrill of exploration and the beauty surrounding them. Unbeknownst to them, a storm had begun brewing miles above. Heavy rain was pouring steadily, unseen but deadly. Because Castelcivita is fed by surface water, when it rains, the cave's underground rivers can swell suddenly, transforming placid streams into violent torrents. At first, the rising water was barely noticeable, a slight increase in flow, a louder splash. But within minutes, the water began to flood the cave's lower passages. What had been dry ground was quickly submerged under cold, rushing water. Stefano noticed the change first. "The water is rising faster than it should," he warned, his voice tense, but the team, caught up in their work, decided to push forward, just a little further. It was a decision they would regret. As they ventured into a narrow, low-ceilinged tunnel, the water surged around their ankles, then knees, then higher. Panic flashed in their eyes. The cave had once been a place of calm beauty, was now turning into a deadly trap. "Turn back!" Marco shouted, but it was too late. The floodwaters came rushing in like a living beast, cutting off the path behind them. Their only option was to press forward into the unknown, or find higher ground within the cave. They scattered in search of safety. Some climbed ledges slick with algae, others struggled against the torrent. Gianni, Luca, and Paolo were swept away by the sudden rush of water in a narrow chamber. Their screams echoed through the tunnels, swallowed instantly by the roar of the flood. Meanwhile, Stefano, Marco, and Antonio managed to find a small ledge just above the rising water, a precarious refuge. They huddled together, shivering, soaked to the bone, their hearts pounded with fear. Hours dragged on. Darkness closed in beyond their flickering headlamps. Their voices grew hoarse from calling out to their missing friends, but only silence answered. Back on the surface, rescue teams were alerted when the group failed to return. Local authorities and volunteer spelunkers organized a desperate search operation. But the flooding had transformed the cave into a maze of dangerous currents and collapsing passages. Rescuers fought exhaustion and fear as they navigated the treacherous terrain, knowing every second counted. Eventually, after a harrowing search, the bodies of Gianni, Luca, and Paolo were found, tragically claimed by the relentless flood. The survivors were rescued, but the trauma was deep. Stefano would later say in interviews that the experience changed him forever. The cave was alive that day, and it wanted us gone. The Grotte Di Castelcivita tragedy is a chilling reminder of the thin line between adventure and disaster. The cave's beauty hides a brutal truth. Underground rivers can rise without warning, turning serene chambers into death traps. For the 6 explorers, what started as a quest for discovery ended in nightmare, loss, fear, and the unforgiving power of nature beneath the earth. Even now, the cave waits quietly beneath the Italian hills. Its silent chambers hold memories of those who vanished beneath its waters. And the rains still fall. The cave is patient, always waiting for the next group to challenge its depths, the next group to be caught unprepared, the next group to never return. The beauty is deadly, and the darkness is eternal. There are places that feel sacred, cathedrals not built by human hands but by time, water, and darkness. Jeita Grotto is one of them. Tucked in the limestone heart of Lebanon, Jeita Grotto is a natural wonder, a colossal cave system stretching for miles beneath the earth. Tourists know its upper gallery, vast caverns filled with glowing stalactites and serene subterranean lakes. But few ever speak of the lower grotto, a drowned maze where sunlight never reaches and silence is absolute. In the year 2000, a diver named Elias Haddad entered the watery world. A seasoned cave diver, trained in technical descents, Elias had explored deep caverns in Jordan, France, and Turkey. He was careful, precise, and fearless, traits that had earned him respect in the tight-knit caving community. But even the most experienced can vanish when the cave decides it's time. Jeita had long been rumored to be cursed, an ancient burial site, some said, or a place where Phoenician priests performed rites to underworld gods. Locals didn't go near the lower grotto after sundown. There were whispers of people hearing voices near the water, of lights flickering and going out for no reason, of explorers who never came back. But Elias didn't believe in curses. He believed in facts, maps, and planning. That day, he was on a solo mission, though the decision itself was strange, as Elias never dove alone. Yet for some reason, on August 14th, 2000, he made the descent into Jeita's submerged passageways without backup. He left a note in the dive center logbook. Mapping section B17, estimated 2 hours. Don't follow, just wait. He never surfaced. 2 hours passed, then 4, then 6. His emergency beacon never activated. His oxygen tank equipped with redundancies should have lasted longer. When the rescue team finally arrived, Lebanese military divers and 2 of Elias's colleagues, they found his gear truck parked outside, the engine still warm. Inside, neatly stacked, were his maps, backup supplies, and a photograph of the underwater chamber he had hoped to reach. No signs of panic, no farewell. They began the descent. The lower grotto is unnervingly quiet. You don't swim, you drift. The water is black, the walls closing in like a throat. Visibility drops to inches, and if your light fails, there's no way out. The walls absorb sound, even your breathing feels too loud. 30 meters in, they found his safety line. It was slack, drifting aimlessly in the current. Then they found his camera, floating like a forgotten memory. But there were no signs of Elias. No bubbles, no debris, just emptiness. When they reviewed the footage from the camera, the room went silent. It starts normal, standard checks, light panning across sediment-covered stone. Then the footage cuts briefly, static, and then it comes back. Elias is in a narrow passage, far narrower than recommended for a diver in full gear. His breathing is labored. He's trying to turn back. Something moves past the lens, quick, like a shadow or a ripple in the water. Then the video freezes for 3 seconds. The last frame is chilling. Elias is looking straight at the camera, his eyes wide, mask fogging, regulator clenched in his jaw. And behind him, in the murk, is a shape. Not a rock, not a trick of light. Something. Tall, pale, watching. The footage ends. His body was never recovered, and over the years speculation grew. Some say he ran out of air. Others claim he became disorientated and wedged himself in a narrow chute. But veteran divers disagree. Elias was too experienced, too meticulous. He had 3 backup lights, 2 redundant regulators. He logged every move, and he never, ever took risks alone. Until that day. And then there's the footage, that frame, that shape. Local myths resurfaced, old legends of spirits trapped beneath Jeita, one in particular, a guardian of the cave, an entity said to dwell in the underwater halls, jealous, vengeful, and unforgiving of intruders. It's easy to dismiss such tales, easy to call it superstition, but those who have dived in Jeita since, those few brave or foolish enough, report the same thing. Equipment failing without cause, compasses spinning, voices heard over the comms, low, unintelligible whispers, and shadows that move against the current. In 2003, a French diver, Claire Morel, attempted to replicate Elias's dive. She aborted halfway through. She later told a Lebanese news outlet, "It felt like I wasn't alone. Something followed me the entire time, and when I turned around, I swear I saw a hand reach for my light." She never dove again after that. Jeita's lower system is now strictly off limits to the public. Officially, it's due to unstable rock formations, but unofficially, it's because of what happened to Elias, and what others have whispered since. To this day, the water hides his body, or perhaps it never had a body to return. Some say that caves remember, that the stone keeps secrets we're not meant to uncover, that the deeper you go, the more you leave behind. Your breath, your mind, your soul. Elias Haddad's story is not just a cautionary tale about diving safety. It's a story about crossing thresholds not meant to be crossed, about disturbing something ancient, something that waits. So, if you ever visit Jeita, stand at the edge of the water, look down into the black, and listen. Because down there, in the silence, something may be listening back. And it remembers.